All right, I got some video to show you guys before I start sermon. Today's message on Job. Job, I never really enjoyed it, absolutely honest with you, because it's a good story. I know the storyline, but reading through all the long poetry and it's really imagery and all that, it was kind of taxing for me. But if you really learn what this whole Job, this whole book is about, I think it's going to really help you. And it really helped me too. Just context is like this. I'll be transparent with you. I'm going through something as a pastor right now, right this point in time. I really didn't want to preach. That preaching is something that I really don't want to do because I'm quite sad. I realize I'm dealing with my sadness in it. Like losing this guy that we tried to rehabilitate and get him off to the drug and all that. And seeing him killing himself and all that is just, and I'm shaking a lot of pastors, especially Pastor Jacob. Please pray for Pastor Jacob. He lived with him. It happened last week. So I'm going through suffering. And I'm just reading through this, and I found, okay, I want to preach this through where I am. So understand where I'm coming from. And also, if there is people here in this room going through any form of suffering, any form of ideas of struggles, and maybe today is the right message for you. But this is Job, just to give you good outline, understanding what book of Job is. Here we go.
There are three books in the Bible known as the wisdom literature: Proverbs, Ecclesiastes, and Job. The first, Proverbs, showed us that God is wise and just.
Yeah, we learned that God has ordered the world so that it's fair. The righteous are rewarded, the wicked are punished. In other words, you get what you deserve.
But then we meet Ecclesiastes, who observes, people don't always get what they deserve.
He said the world isn't always fair, that life is unpredictable and hard to comprehend, just like smoke.
And this makes you wonder, okay, well, is God wise and just?
Exactly. And so it's that question that is being explored in the final book of wisdom, Job.
All right, let's dive in.
So Job begins with a strange story that takes place up in the heavens, which are described something like a heavenly command center. So God is there with these angelic creatures called the sons of God, and they're all there reporting for duty.
And God points out this guy Job, his servant, showing how righteous and good he is.
And then one of these angelic creatures approaches. He's referred to in Hebrew as the Satan.
The Satan? Who is this?
Well, this word is actually a title, which literally means the one who is opposed. So out of this whole crew, he is the one questioning how God is running the world. And he proposes that Job might not actually love God, that he's only a good person because God rewards him. If God were to take away all of the good things he gave to Job, then we would see his true colors.
So he thinks Job is just working the system?
That's exactly right. Maybe he's obeying just to get what he wants.
So God agrees to this experiment and allows the Satan to inflict suffering on Job.
And Job loses everyone and everything that he cares about. It is devastating. And remember, he deserves none of this. God himself said so.
The remarkable thing is that in the midst of all this suffering, Job's friends come to visit him to offer their help. And all of them are like, Job, you must have done something horribly wrong to deserve this. After all, we know God is just, and we know the world is ordered by God's justice and fairness, so you must be getting what you deserve.
And for the next 34 chapters, the friends and Job go back and forth in very dense Hebrew poetry. His friends keep speculating about why God might have sent such suffering, and they even start making up lists of hypothetical sins that Job must have committed. But after each accusation, Job defends his innocence.
And Job is innocent.
He is. He's also an emotional. At some moments, he's very confident that God is still wise and just.
Yeah, in other moments, he's doubting God's goodness.
He even comes to accuse God of being reckless, unfair, and corrupt. So by the end of the dialogue, Job demands that God come and explain himself in person. And God does so. He comes in the form of a great storm cloud.
Now, God doesn't give Job a direct answer. He doesn't tell Job about the conversation with the Satan.
Yeah, he does something very different. He takes Job on a virtual tour of the universe. He shows Job how grand the world is, and he asks him if he's even capable of running it or understanding it, just for a day. He shows Job how much detail there is in the world, things that we might see every day, but really don't understand at all. But God does. He knows it all intimately. He pays attention to the beauty and operations of the universe in ways that we haven't even imagined and in places that we will never see.
Then to conclude, God shows Job two wondrous beasts and brags about how great they are.
Yeah, they are dangerous. I mean, they would kill you without even thinking about it. And God says they're not evil. They're actually a part of his good world.
And then that's it. That's God's whole defense. It's kind of weird. I mean, what was this all about?
It seemed to be this. From Job's point of view, it looks like God is not just. But God's perspective is infinitely bigger. He's dynamically interacting with a whole universe of complexity when he makes decisions. And this is what God calls his wisdom.
So Job asking God to defend himself is actually kind of absurd.
He couldn't comprehend this kind of complexity even if he wanted to.
So where does this leave us?
Well, it leaves Job in a place of humility. He never learned why he suffered, and yet he's able to live in peace and in the fear of the Lord.
But that's not where the book ends, because after this, God restores to Job double everything he had lost. And this, again, is surprising. I mean, is this a reward? Is God saying, congratulations, Job, you passed this elaborate test?
No, I mean, the whole book just made the point that Job losing everything was not a punishment, and so now getting it back isn't a reward.
So why does he get it back?
Well, apparently, God, in his wisdom, decided to give Job a gift. We don't know why. But what we do know is that Job is now the kind of person who, no matter what comes, good or bad, he can trust God's wisdom.
And that's the book of Job and the end of our wisdom series.
These biblical books of wisdom are amazing. Each one offers a unique perspective on the good life, and you need to hear all of them together as you learn to live with wisdom and in the fear of the Lord.
All right, that's a job. Well, it's almost he preached all my sermons, so let's go home. So I was going to actually explain this thing, what just talked about, but I felt, okay, why don't we just listen to this and you get the job, what this whole book from the beginning to the end, it means, what it looks like. The question that constantly coming out of this whole book is this: why there is suffering? Why is there suffering? But more precisely, why good men suffer? Why do good men suffer? I mean, is our suffering is a defeat, or is our suffering is a punishment? What we go through in this world, in this life, this hard part. I mean, good part, no one questions about it. It's good. No one actually argues about it. But bad part, the dark patches of our life, how do you understand this? And Job answers. And the answer is basically this: you need to have a right theology of God. You have to understand who God is. Then you understand why there's suffering. Make sense? You need to understand who God is first, then you'll understand why you go through what you go through in this world. Job had that understanding. I know he's the one who went through all that, but because of his understanding, when these things came, like he lost all his possession, all his monies, and all his family, except wife. Thank God, right? I mean, children died, but wife death is something else. But thing is, later, this wife turned against him as well because he actually adds on even more. So when he lost everything, what happened? Let's just open your Bible. Job chapter 1, 20 to 22. Let me read to you. Then Job arose and tore his robe and shaved his head and fell on the ground and worshipped. Okay, first thing he did when he heard this bad, terrible news, lost all his children, all his possessions, this is what he did. He mourned, but also worshipped. Verse 21, he said, naked I came from my mother's womb, naked shall I return. The Lord gave, the Lord has taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. That was his response. Where did that come from? Theology. When I say theology, don't get freaked out, please, because it's basically your understanding of who God is and your understanding of what this life is. It's basically about worldview. How do you see this whole world is going right now? We see the Trump and the Donald Trump and the North Korea and South Korea and all those things that we see it on news, but behind the scene and who is really in control. And do you believe it? And Job clearly knew whatever happened in his life is from God. He didn't see what happened, the counsel between Satan and the God, right? Is hidden to him, right? There's just something going on in heaven, but he didn't see it. But he knew in this world, when he will go through this terrible time, he says, it is he who gives me, it is he takes it. It's okay. I came in this world naked, and I can go naked. I mean, we all go naked, whether we like it or not. It's a tremendous, powerful statement. Think about it. If you have this kind of attitude, whatever comes into your life, you can actually face it. Whatever you go through, you can actually face it because this is a result, cause and result, right? You know what causes it, what result is, and you have this worshipful heart. What happened here? Yeah, God is worshipped. So today's basic sermon is, the whole sermon is this: suffering is real in our life. Do you know that? Suffering is real. We go through suffering whether you like it or not. It's a reality of life. Maybe we don't feel as much as the third world country people, but you know that. You know that and what we go through. So suffering is reality. But suffering is not the end. That's what the Bible says. And thirdly, the ultimately, through all the suffering, God will be glorified. There are 3 points. Suffering is real. Suffering is not the end. Ultimately, the meaning of suffering is a glorification of God. Make sense? And Job is actually preaching to us in first person. But when Satan saw this, that he's worshiping God, he argued against God again. Hey, God, and the reason he's still like this is because you didn't touch him. You give him the illness, if you give him the sickness, and he will, respond to you differently. Satan is very clever because I know, when we think that we are so strong, get sick, you know how weak you are. Like I personally, you know that what I went through, right? I always live in this idealistic world from the very young, and I feel like I'm in the kind of walking through the cloud always, and I'm not going to own anything, I'll be living like God and angels, and I'll be the puristic person. That kind of idea I had, and I can just declare the victory, whatever I go through. I'm not going to be greedy about anything in this world, and I just looking up on God. And if you saw me when I was 20, I was a terrible boyfriend. I remember this, my ex-girlfriend, like. She knows it. Come on, all right. We have no issue with this, And then she struggled with the way that I see the world, and because I think I spiritualize literally everything, right? And I don't really do anything like it's not ungodly, that all that. And she just literally we broke up. I think because of that too. And I met my wife after that, and she brought me down from heaven a bit to the reality. But what I'm saying is. But when I got really sick, when I lost my large intestine, and I'm not going to brag about this, and I've talked about this too many times, but I'll tell you, when you are too sick, you do not have that much of willpower. You do not have that much of courage. You are not that strong. And I realized that I completely overestimated myself. You have to look at yourself that you're only flesh and bone. You're in that stage. Satan knew that the fragility of mankind, your mind will break. Your heart will not be sustained if your body is failing. So he says, God, let me touch him. And God's, okay, go for it. Right? So let's test him. And then he got this disease from bottom to top to bottom. He's just scratching with a rock to get rid of the itchiness. I mean, it's a horrible skin disease, right? And he responded like this. Chapter 2, verse 9 to 10, he says, and seeing this, wife turned against him and said, his wife said to him, do you still hold fast your integrity? Curse God and die. This is the end. You lost everything. Now look at yourself. You're hideous and you're going to suffering. There's nothing left for you. So curse God and die. Verse 10, but he said to her, he said like this, you speak as one of the foolish women would speak. Shall we receive good from God and shall we not receive evil? Wow. He's saying this, hey, what's wrong with you, women? Right? God gave me all these good things. We all enjoy that. But when things turn, when things go south, I'm sure God is there. I can take the good thing from God, but also I can take the evil from God. As long as it's from God. Make sense? See, again, his understanding of God, his theology determines his response to the life that he faces, to the suffering he faces. It sounds like he's very distant from any feelings, any emotion that he goes through. Not because emotion is real, right? When you go through things, when you go through financial issues and all that, physical, the illness, hardship is real and pain is real. I'm feeling no one likes the pain. No one likes the discomfort. No one likes to worry about what to eat, what to wear and all that stuff. And Job was saying this kind of thing, but from chapter 3, it changes everything. Real Job comes out. That's when his 3 friends came and accused of him. Right before his 3 friends come, Job basically said, God, I'd rather die. Why didn't you kill me at my birth? This life sucks. This life's terrible. Why do I go on like this, I don't know. Looking back there, I'm thinking about Shane, the guy, ended his life last week. I woke up someday, even me, I woke up in the morning. If I don't have a spiritual, biblical, social, legal reason, if there's a provision of that it's okay to die for you biblically and then socially, legally, I think there are mornings that I can tell you straight up that I want to die. Yeah? How many of you guys feel like that sometimes? Yeah? There are times that you're only holding on to this world is because you feel like it's the wrong thing to do. Of course, it's the wrong thing to do. Yeah? And at the end of the Job came to that place where I'd rather die. This is not the life. And it's better die than live. Right? So you go through this torment day in, day out. What is the answer to this? What is the answer to all the suffering that we go through? Job asked this question to God, and God does something, I don't know, weird. Something so weird, he doesn't really give straight answer. How many of you guys feel like God doesn't give answers sometimes? Yeah? We ask God, and God doesn't really give you an answer. Either he's so silent, or do something different. It's like, or became irrelevant later, right? I experienced a lot of things, and God did exactly the same thing. So as you watch this movie, what God did, he basically take Job into the world he sees. He's showing the world he sees. Instead of addressing his problem that he goes through. Although for Job, this is so real, so painful, so big, but to God, hey, do you want to see what I see? Do you want to see the world that I'm controlling? Do you want the things that I'm doing? Have a look. And you ask me why? You want to know why? Do you know what I do to sustain the whole universe, right? That's what God is doing. Well, let me just give you a glimpse of Job 38, 1 to 13. Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, who is this that darkens counsel by words without knowledge, dressed for action like a man? I will question you, and you make it known to me. Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth? Tell me if you have understanding. Okay, that's verse 4. Okay, I'm going to stop reading it. Just basically saying this. Where were you when I laid the foundation of the earth, world? Where were you when I make the sun and for the first time and gives the bright light? Where were you when the air coming in? Where were you that the fish is formed? Where were you that star is made? Where were you? There's billions of the stars out there in my hand. What do you understand? God's answer basically comes into this. Do you know who I am? Yes? Then trust me. Trust me. Just learn what I do. I am capable and I love you. To think. Trust me. I am capable and I love you. You try to be a God, see if it's how easy. That's what God even says. Like, you want to run the whole universe in one day? Do you think you can do it? So after all these things, I complain all that God's showing to Job, and Job's answer is basically, the verse 40, verse 1 to 5. And when the Lord said to Job, shall a fool find a content with the Almighty? He who argues with God, let him answer it. And then Job answered. And Job answered like this. Behold, I am of a small account. What shall I answer you? I lay my hand on my mouth. I have spoken once and I will not answer twice, but I will proceed no further. Okay. Questions answered in a most in like a different angle. God didn't give him the direct answer. He just showed him who God is. And Job says, shut up. Shut up. I think you know what you know what you're doing. What is it? What just happened here? Trust came back. Now, today's sermon it's not really about suffering actually. It's about when you go through suffering, how do you trust? How do you trust God? There are things in our life, do you agree, that we don't have an answer for? I don't have an answer for what I'm going through right now, to be absolutely honest with you. The emotion that I'm handling right now, all the issues in the marriage and all the issues of your personal life I hear, because I hear a lot, right? I have no answer for this. But whenever I go to God, God doesn't always give the answer because of this, because of this, because this. Why? Because He doesn't owe us explanation. He doesn't owe us explanation. I mean, how can we demand God for what He does? He doesn't owe us. He's not a debtor to us. But He is God. He still make things happen according to His good and pleasing will. And so what He's saying is that, can you trust me when you go through dark valley of death? Now, let's talk about trust. Why we don't trust God? Or why don't we trust anything to anyone? Okay, let's say this is John. Everybody say hello to John, everybody. John, hey John, how are you, man? All right, I say to John, John, you're a very good looking man. How about I'll give you $1 million right now? Okay, I said that. I just said it. You heard it. Will John believe it? Of course, no. Why wouldn't he believe it? Because he knows, and everybody knows that I don't have $1 million, right? Maybe I'm doing something different if I have $1 million. But so no one believes my capability here now to give him. So he doesn't trust me because of my capability. Number one reason, we don't sometimes trust God because deep inside you downsize God. You do not know how to see God the way He is. You think God is not able to get you out of that place. You don't think no one can handle the situation. Because in your mind, God is just a little bit bigger than you. That's who you think God is. Do you know that the ocean that you watch from Bondi Beach, you see that this endless ocean, God is bigger than that. Do you know that the whole earth, we come together, put together millions of earth together, God is still bigger than that. And that God is telling you that trust me. And we are still wrestling with the trust with God because of the idea of God is so small. Your idea of God is so small. That's why God brought the Job. You go into that suffering, but you understand you. You don't understand why? Because understand me. This is who I am. I'm watching you. Number two. What if I said to John, hey, I give you 50 cents. Will you trust me? Yeah, of course you trust, but in the heart of heart, he wouldn't trust me because it is irrelevant. Why? 50 cents is nothing to him. Makes sense? Because he can have 50 cents on his own. So it's like, yeah, why do I have to trust you, man? I can just give him 50 cents. I'll take it, right? He probably can do that to me. Sometimes we come to God and not understanding what God can give to us, and we devalue it. Before we downsize God, sometimes devalue it. Because we are so obsessed with control. We think we are in control. We think we can handle this thing. We know that nothing God can provide me that I need here. I can solve this issue. I'm the master of my domain. I am it. So I don't need your help. That idea. Even why people don't believe in God, with salvation, free gift of spirit, the eternal life. Why people don't receive it? Why? Because it's free. In their mind, nothing is free, right? In their mind, it's worthless, right? That they do not understand the value of who God is. We devaluing God. Makes sense? What God can do is doing in your life. Don't devalue God. That's why your trust, your faith system is messed up. Thirdly, what if I say, John, okay, how about I give you $2,000? Now, I want you to know I have a $2,000. My wife has $2,000. I want you to know. So everybody's sort of like, yeah, Pastor Joshua, if he just break the credit card and can give it to me at least, right? So it's good to you. And who would refuse $2,000, right? It's good enough money. So, but in his heart, the only problem that he will not trust me to give him is, why is it? Intentionality. So like, what's the catch? $2,000? Why? Right. At first, it was the issue of power. Second was the issue of relevance. But third one is the issue of intentionality. What do you want from me for that $2,000? We're living in the earning, take, in a give and take world. We know in our heart that nothing is free, that mentality, right? And so when God says, hey, trust me, He's saying that, why? What do you want from me? What do I have to do? Do I have to break my arms and legs? Do I have to sacrifice all my life? Well, what is it? That is no trust in God because of your deep skepticism of God's heart. That's what Bible over and over and over again prove Himself. God saying, no, I am trustworthy. I'm worthy of your trust because I love you. I love you. I love you like a shepherd takes care of the sheep. I love you like a father loves their children. I love you. Trust me. Trust me. Come back to me. I know it's hard for you right now. I know you don't understand what's going on, but trust me. I'm powerful. And what I'm giving is so beautiful. And I love you. I can take care of you. Trust, ultimately because of this, is the issue of your relationship with God, isn't it? You don't know God, how much He loves you. It's issue of issue of intimacy. That's why we're asking you, hey, come and pray. Why? Why do you pray? Because it's not just like the shopping list. God, give it to me to tick the box and then you owe me. It's not that. Prayer is not that. Prayer is basically positioning yourself and looking at his eyes and saying, I trust you. I know you have the answer in my life. And it's about posture of intimacy. It's not the posture of transaction. Prayer is a posture of intimacy. It's not the posture of a transaction. Make sense? That's why we come to God because we trust Him. He will give it to me. Why? When we have a relationship, intimate relationship with God, everything will be resolved. Isaiah chapter 55, 8-9, he says this, for my thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways, declares the Lord. For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts than your thoughts. Basically saying, I am God, you are not, but I love you. I love you, believe it or not. But you don't believe it, do you? It's hard to believe sometimes. It's a funny thing how Bible talks about how this Israelite was complaining, and then God sent a snake and bit these guys and died, and God gave the solution for that is to lift up the bronze snake made of the bronze, and whoever looks at it will be saved. Whoever. But the funny thing is the Bible doesn't say that all are saved. Bible actually said that all those who looked at it, saved, right? And my question is why people don't look at the bronze snake? Why? Because of pain they're going through. They're so busy to obsess with the pain they have. So they don't even look up and just see that. The simple action is not allowed because deep inside their heart, they don't have trust. Yeah, whatever. It's so painful. I'm about to die. And that's all your heart, all your mind, all your energy goes to. Right? I'm going to just suffer and I'm going to die and try to find the answer, put something on there and I just shake it off and I'm going to die. But whoever turned their eyes said, bronze snake and trusted what Moses said, this God will deliver. Okay. And those guys saved. And in New Testament, who is the bronze snake? Jesus. I'll be lifted up like the snake lifted up in the desert. Look at me. For those who believes in me will be saved. Will be saved, which means that I have your life. I conquer the death. Come to me, trust me, believe me. Let's do the journey of eternity. Do not obsess to your own little trouble that you have, no matter how big it looks like in your life. Trust me. Church, I'm going to actually finish my sermon here. Just want to make one last statement. Going through so many things last few months, man. The times that I thought, wow, man, pastoring is really hard. I never knew it was hard. I always enjoyed it, I never said to my wife, hey, honey, I want to do something else. I never said that. But these days I'm saying, hey, is there anything I can do? Can I work for you? Daniel, can you open up the shop? I can just work for you there. It's hard. Why? Because I see too many pains. I just cannot be honest with you. I just see too many pains. So painful just watch them. Hey guys, I'll be publicly announced. There's a lucrative offer came to me to come to bigger church. Yay! Your pastor is very popular. What did I say? No, of course. Why? Not that because not necessarily because I love you, right? But basically because I don't care about going to another church and care for another whole different groups of people and different groups of problem. I have enough problem here. It's hard enough to look hearing people here and caring for people, praying for people. And what's the worst thing of all that? I have no answer. I have no answer for certain thing. I'm absolutely honest with you. I got no idea how to help you. All I can do is just stand up here and scream at you, right? I understood through this season. Life is not always black and white. See, the Job's friends came up with the idea that wrong theology was basically this. You've done something wrong. That's why God is punishing you. God is just God, black and white. So, but you did something wrong, so you're suffering. That's black. White, black, black, white, black, white. That's what they're doing. They have this simple dimensional understanding with God. And what are they missing? What do they miss? They miss the relational element. Relational element. When I treat my children, it's not black and white all the time. I wouldn't say to my daughter, hey, so if you break your, plate, doing something wrong, I'm going to take you out of my will or whatever. You're not going to be my daughter. It's not going to be black and white, is it? There are seasons, if she does wrong, we have to talk to her about it and we go through the journey, wait for her, be patient with her, get angry at her, smack her. Not anymore, but I used to. That old journey. And it doesn't end. It constantly, they grow up 20 and 30s, they bring different kind of problem and we have to deal with it through that journey. The relationship grow. I'm sure of that. I'm sure that any relationship is not black and white. What is it? God is colorful God. This happy church, I just want to say that, guys, we are not going to the church, the squeaky clean church that if you do this and you'll be wrong and you'll be punished. It's not that kind of church. I don't think that is how it is going to operate. I want to directly face your issue, our problem, our struggle, what we do. We're going to do the journey together. And in that journey, what do we do? Encourage each other, affirm each other to trust our God. God has answer for you. I don't. God has answer for you. In our church right now, some people redundant and lost a job. In our church, some people lost boyfriend, girlfriend. Probably think it is the end of the world. In our church, some people going through financial issues, relational issues, marital issues. Suffering is real, yeah? But church, God is trustworthy. Let's trust Him. Let's run this race. Let's fight this fight. And give Him the ultimate glory through our suffering. You're probably saying, oh, that's not the answer I want to look forward to. Just why don't you tell me it's going to be all okay? It's going to be fine. Just give me the answer what I need to do so that I can fix it. Or something I could probably do that to you. If you have a pornography issue, then quit it. Simple answer right there. But some answer doesn't come that easily, isn't it? Why do good men suffer? Why do good men struggle? Job has answer. God is in charge. God is in control. Come. Let's be the church. That's what the church do, man. What do we do? Why do we get together? I need someone to tell me. It's not enough for me to know this and just praying about it by myself. I need you to come and tell me, Pastor Joshua, it is going to be okay. God told me that it's going to be okay from the Bible. I want to pray for you. I want to be with you. That's what the church should look like. Let's pray.